many small business owners don't have an extensive marketing budget. A lot of them will do it themselves.
Yep.
And they're my unicorn. You know, as a small business, you need to get your message out to wherever your ideal clients are.
Yes.
So, you know, it might be a website, it might be social media channels, it might be TikTok, it might be your local newspaper. Part of creating the brand strategy is working out who that ideal avatar is and where they play.
Faye and Panic, I know this time very much as you need to have along the way. Welcome to the show. I'm Faye and my guest is Lisa Stevenson, a graphic designer, a brand expert and an entrepreneur. She works with businesses using her 3 C's framework. Let's see what Lisa has to say. Welcome, Lisa, and we're back for another episode.
We are.
And our episode this week is the essence of building a powerful brand foundation. But there are lots of different components to this foundation, aren't there?
There are.
There are the 3 C's that you've talked about. What's that mean, the 3 C's? What are they?
So the 3 C's is a process that I've developed that takes people right through how to create a brand. So the 3 C's are Conjure, Connect, and Captivate.
Okay, so what does Conjure mean?
Conjure is really about the foundation. It's about working out your audience and your archetype so that you can connect.
Right, okay. We need to take action on every process so that we build that solid foundation. So what's the process of building that solid foundation in a business and conjuring it up? The word conjure means for me means to create, to develop, do that sort of stuff. So conjuring up the foundations, really, is it?
Yeah, so that's exactly why the first stage is called Conjure, because it is about creating and building the foundation.
Okay. And the first step in building that foundation is what?
Generally, it's determining your purpose or your why, what your core values are, what difference you want to make as a business.
Okay, so when you say core values, we can have core values, personal core values, and we have business core values. So do we need to have both at the same time? So we have our personal values, but then it's important to have those values for our business.
The business definitely has to have the values.
And can they be similar or the same or a little bit different?
They can be either. Sometimes they're quite different.
Yeah.
Generally, when it's a small business, the values of the business are very much aligned with the business owner or the entrepreneur, because it has to be, because, you know, they're in their business every day.
They are the business,
Yeah, that's
they?
correct. They're living and breathing it every day.
Yeah, they are the business. So when you look at I like the word conjure. I think that's a great word to use as a concept for building foundations. What is it that makes, you know, when you're having a conversation with someone who's a prospective business, you know, developing a business or wants to create a business, what would be the first question you would ask them?
Why?
I knew you were going to say that, because it really is an important one, isn't it? We have to know our why we're doing what we're doing.
You have to be connected to it.
Yeah.
So on 2 fronts, why you are doing what you're doing, what you love about it, what is your area of genius or your point of difference, and then why for the person buying your product or paying for your service.
Yeah. And that why for the person who's buying your product or your service, it's a really important why, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what your brand has to be about.
Okay. So explain that.
If you don't have that kind of clear foundation or the clear purpose,
your why is not going to be clear either, is it?
Correct. And your message is not going to be clear. People are not going to connect or relate. You're not going to you're not going to hit the heartstrings
of the
or
people.
get that emotional response from the person that you want to buy your product.
Yeah, and you need to know your avatar. Now, there's people out there that would know what we meant by an avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that?
An avatar is your ideal client. So if you could choose to work with a type of person or a type of client in your business, so your dream client, if you will, that's who your avatar is.
Okay, so can they be a certain age, lives, demographics, all those sorts of things you have to think about when you have an avatar?
The more specific, the better.
Yeah.
The more specific you can be with your avatar, the more successful your marketing will be.
Yeah, because and your message will be more specific as well, because you know exactly who you're targeting. Okay, so when you are conjuring up this foundation, what other things? So, I mean, you've got to put a plan together, but what's involved in that plan?
So I think we go through quite an extensive process in creating an avatar.
Right.
Or it may be avatars. There might be more than one.
Yeah.
And we'll go as far as actually turning that avatar into a person or a character, if you will. So we'll give them a name and
that'd be fun,
and potentially give them an image, so that when the marketing is being planned, we are talking to a real person.
Yeah. Or you could have, I mean, sometimes you start a business because you know there's a need for something that you want, so you're going to start the business to create it, so you could be the avatar.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. And when you create that avatar, you can have some fun with that.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. It can be a very fun process.
Okay. When someone doesn't understand it and they're in a business and you say, well, what's your avatar? And they look at you like, what? What are you talking about? What is it that you teach them, or how do you help them understand what that avatar is?
One of the biggest mistakes that I see in small businesses marketing is them trying to be everything to everyone.
You can't be.
So they try and throw a blanket to get as much reach as possible, not understanding that the opposite approach is actually what gets them the results. Talking to that small amount of people that they actually want as clients is what's going to get them the result. So
specific, to the point, direct, really focused. Yeah.
And I will often talk to them about, what's been their favourite job that they've done or client that they've worked with, or that's part of the nailing the avatar process, or nailing the ideal avatar.
And do they have fun sometimes creating the avatar?
Yeah.
Do you have fun creating?
Yeah. We, naming them different things, giving them different characteristics, different wants, different needs. It makes the whole process a lot more sticky.
Okay, what do you mean by sticky?
I mean that the business owner becomes a lot more invested because they really understand who they're speaking to.
Yeah.
And equally, the potential client sticks to the message.
Yeah. It's more relatable.
Yes.
More relatable to the prospective client, their audience that they're trying to attract, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
So what else is it about Conjure? We can make all these mistakes and we can bring things in and do stuff, and there's no engagement. Nobody's responding to any of the messaging that you're putting out there. And you're thinking, well, what the hell's going on here? You come along and you ask them a series of questions, and then you make them think about what they're doing. What makes a person stand out as an avatar? What's your avatar?
Okay. My avatar for my business, Unicorn Branding, is business owners and entrepreneurs that are prepared to push the boundaries.
Okay. So what's the meaning of unicorn? What does that actually mean? Why did you choose a unicorn for your avatar, and how powerful is it for you?
Unicorn is about being a one-off.
Oh, I love that.
You know,
Love that.
it's about for me, creating a branding business that not only stands out but is different in how they approach it. So, I've been a small business owner for 20 years and it's hard.
It's a tough gig.
With like we talked about at the beginning, all of that extra stuff that comes along with owning a business that takes you away from your genius.
The real stuff.
And it it's about pulling people's genius out.
Okay. So unicorn means a one-off, which is a really powerful thing because that's what each business needs to stand for.
Mm-hmm.
One-off.
Yeah.
So you created that for your business, and therefore you take it out into the big wide world.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to clients about being their own one-off and creating and designing for them so that they feel special, so that they feel that people will recognize them because they're unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unicorn branding is a community. So as a small business owner, many small business owners don't have an extensive marketing budget.
No, they don't.
A lot of them will do it themselves.
Yep.
And they're my unicorn.
So when you say marketing, what do you mean marketing? Is it the message that they put out there on social media? Or is it spending money creating special marketing events and things like this? What is it?
It's all of that. So, as a small business, you need to get your message out to wherever your ideal clients are.
Yes.
So, it might be a website, it might be social media channels, it might be TikTok, it might be your local newspaper. Part of creating the brand strategy is working out who that ideal avatar is and where they play, so you know where to reach them.
Okay, so how did you come up with your avatar, and how much fun was it developing that avatar as the one-off?
My avatar almost created itself, I
Okay.
think.
Okay. In what way?
Having the printing business for 20 years,
Yeah.
I see every day business owners coming in wanting to do some form of marketing, whether it's a flyer or a banner or signage or putting something on their car. And a lot of them do it because they feel they need to do something, but there is no plan or strategy behind that.
Yeah.
And being a small business owner and knowing how hard small business can be, I want them to spend their time and money on something that's going to benefit them.
Yeah. Yeah. How frustrated do you get with some people that come in and they're wanting something totally different to what you see for them?
I don't get frustrated. I used to. But that is the whole reason that unicorn branding has come about. So, unicorn branding is all about giving that education to small business owners and entrepreneurs. So it's all about taking them through that process so they understand it, so they're invested in it, so they love it because that's their passion every day. That's what they live and breathe.
And they don't feel like they're going to work every day when they've got that passion
Yeah.
right where they want it.
And they end up with a business and a brand and a message that they love and that they're proud of. And, you know, we have a bit of fun along the way.
Yeah, and they can step out and be proud and know that they're going to get that engagement, know that they're going to be asked questions, know that people want to contact them because they have this uniqueness about them,
Mm-hmm.
but they also have the right language, the right imagery, the right context
Yeah.
within their business, and they truly understand what their why is.
Yeah. And they have the consistency, they have, you know, the heart, they
Yeah.
have the message.
The consistency, and
Yeah.
that's and you conjure that. Does the archetype come with colours, or can you create the colours?
There are definitely some traditional colours that would be associated with archetypes,
Mm.
but there's no hard and fast rule.
Okay, so you can choose colours, but sometimes you could say that someone will choose a colour that's not really appropriate.
All the time.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, look, sometimes you'll get people that just want something because they want it or they like it.
They like the colour, but it
Yeah.
doesn't really stand. It doesn't mean anything to them. They just like the colour.
Yes, and probably more importantly, it doesn't resonate at the user's end.
Yeah, yeah, because
You know.
there's an emotion attached to a colour too, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, and there's also a subconscious reaction.
To a colour.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't want an environmental company with a red logo, for argument's sake.
That'd be a red flag, wouldn't it?
It is. And you know, red flags are a very subconscious effect of branding.
Mm,
Equally are green flags.
yeah. So when you look at environmental companies and they have certain brands that are supposed to represent environment, do they actually represent the environment part of that company or business?
The majority of the big ones do,
They do.
but they've paid a lot of money for that.
Yeah, yeah, and costs a lot of money. But when you're a small business, you don't have that money.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of small business owners don't have that money to spend
Mm-hmm.
on branding and marketing like they do.
No, they don't. And I guess, you know, that's my purpose, is making the money and the time they do spend count.
Yeah.
And give them the best return and result that they can have. And I think, you know, a business, a lot of small businesses start with a logo or a website, and we need to just stop and take 5 or 6 steps back to create the foundation.
Yeah.
Because if the foundation's right and the messaging is right and the avatar is right, the logo doesn't matter as much.
Okay.
And there's exceptions to that rule.
Yeah.
But generally, you know, if all your language and your imagery is right, your logo could just be a typed out word.
Really?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow. And then, you come to your website and the messaging and everything in that needs to be specific, but it's not the priority of starting your business, is it?
No.
Why is it that most people who start a business want to have a website, they need to have a logo, and they're not concentrating on the foundations of their business?
I think it's a well-kept secret almost. I just think that most people, unless they've been through an experience with an agency, don't know that a brand strategy really exists.
Mm. So how do you get and educate people to understand that when they're starting a business, that someone such as yourself, and I like the unicorn because I think that's great, can educate people to understand, create a community where they can learn and grow at the same time and build their business. Lisa, when you're thinking about people in business or starting a business, what is the first thing that they really need to do? I mean, we work alone as business owners a lot. So building a community and bringing people together to understand the basics and the foundations of where a business really needs to start.
Yeah, so unicorn branding is a community, and I've created that specifically for small business owners and entrepreneurs to create that strategy. So there's a lot of education on all of the different areas of creating the strategy so that they understand it. We take them through the process. We kind of hold their hand, I guess, in creating that strategy with them. So they're a part of it, and then they can take that knowledge and fly with it. So that might be that they do their marketing themselves. It might be that they, work with an agency to action it for them. But they're really clear on
what their message is,
who they are, what
and
they
their
do.
why.
Yeah, and their why.
Yeah. And that gives them that solid foundation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To grow.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we have that solid foundation, then we can build on it. It's like building blocks, isn't it?
Yeah. It's exactly like building a house.
Yeah. And the simplicity, it's simple when you know how, but it's complicated when you start from sort of in the middle and you want to go up here, and then you just keep falling down because there's nothing here solid to hold you there. So you've got to conjure it or create it.
Yeah.
Foundation.
There's nothing, without that strategy and understanding of who you are, there's no consistency because you've got nothing to come back to.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
You're what do you say? You're kind of going in the dark, really, aren't you? You're sort of in the dark, floundering. You're floundering along in business.
You
not
are
knowing.
It's ad hoc. You're proceeding without any kind of a plan, and all that creates for everybody, business owner, end user, is confusion
and frustration.
Yeah.
Confusion and frustration.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got clarity in your message, I always say that when you put your message out there, really think about it, because you understand what you're talking about. And when you put your message out there and it comes from you, and you put it out there and hoping the audience understands it, how the hell are they going to understand it? You know what you do, but they don't. So how do you educate them to understand what you do as a business?
And how do you communicate, what your passion is or what your dream is, and the difference that it can make to them by using that?
Is there storytelling that comes in there?
Storytelling is a massive part.
Tell us about that.
Of creating a brand.
So storytelling is a really important part of a business. Give us some examples, Lisa.
One of the most recent examples of great storytelling with an archetype as well would be the movie Air, which is Michael Jordan's story.
Oh, yes, a magnificent story. Thank you, Lisa. That's been very informative.
Awesome.
This has been another episode of the power of your brand and how you need to build a solid foundation to make it work in every aspect. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode with Lisa Stevenson. She'll be back down the track, but today we were talking about Conjure, which is building a solid foundation for your business. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with another guest and another topic. Until then, keep safe and bye for now. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Stay inspired, stay connected, and join our amazing community today.